Hey guys, Bird Yu-Gi-Oh here, coming at you with another deck profile. This time it is going to be my budget Endymion deck. This is probably the least budget of the decks that I've posted for the top 10 budget decks, but it's probably also the most competitive, or one of the most competitive. So, obviously this is going to be a little more of an expensive card, as well as the Mythical Beast package, but I feel they're super necessary for this build. We're not playing some of the other more expensive cards, like obviously Magician Souls and stuff like that. It's not completely necessary in a Pendulum build like this. We have ways of getting our plays off and doing still some really cool stuff. So if you guys haven't already, go and subscribe. I have one more deck for my top 10 budget decks. It's going to be ABC that I'll hopefully be doing Saturday. And then after that, we'll be doing just like some really fun decks for Master Rule 5. I have 5 or 6 already lined up. I think we'll go with 5. So yeah, stay tuned for that, and we'll get right into this one. Starting off with our boss monster, Endymion, the Mighty Master of Magic. He is absolutely amazing. His scale effect is you can remove 6 spell counters from your field, and you'll special summon him, and you'll count the number of cards you control that have a spell counter, and you can destroy that many cards on the field. So he's good for going obviously first or second. And then his on the field effect is when a spell, trap, or effect is activated, you can return one card you control with a spell counter to the hand, and you negate the activation. Really good. And while he has a spell counter, your opponent cannot target him with card effects, and he can't be destroyed by your opponent's card effects. And then when he has a spell counter and he's destroyed by battle, you can add one normal spell from your deck to your hand. So basically, one way or the other, they're either not going to be targeting him or destroying him with a card effect, or if they do happen to get past him in the battle, you're still getting something out of it. So he's absolutely amazing. And there's a cool little lock with Celine. I'll show you that when we get to her. And then we play 2 Reflection of Endymion. While he's in the scale, each time a spell is activated, you place 1 spell counter on him. And then you can remove 3 counters and special summon this card from your Pendulum zone, and 1 monster from your hand that you can place a spell counter on, which we have actually a pretty good amount. So his effect is actually very reliable, and you use it a lot. And the other thing is he's a level 7, and also Reflection is a 7, so they allow you to go into some of your level 7 plays. But honestly, a lot of times he's got 2700 defense, and obviously Endymion has 2800 attack, so a lot of times you just want to be sitting on both of them and you're pretty good. We also played 2 Magister of Endymion. He's good. He again has the same effect in the scale. When a spell counter is activated, you place a spell counter, and then you can remove 3 from him to special summon this card, and 1 face-up monster in your extra deck that you can place a spell counter on. Really good. He's level 3. Also, I forgot to mention Reflection's monster effect. When this card is special summoned, you can target 1 card your opponent controls and 1 card you control, and return them both to the hand, basically. And then Magister, when this, let's see, you can remove 3 spell counters from your field, and you'll special summon 1 monster from your deck that you can place a spell counter on. So he's just pretty good in Universal. I would normally play him at 1, but I'm liking him at 2 right now because he does have decent effects, but also Pot of Desires. I would just prefer not to banish both copies of him, but if you do, you do. Your best starter Endymion, the one that's hit down to 1, is Servant of Endymion. This is your way of getting to any of these, or Jackal King, whatever you want. But when this is in the scale, again, it'll gain counters each time a spell card is activated. You remove 3, and you'll special summon this and 1 monster from your deck with 1,000 or more attack that you can place a spell counter on. So, most of the time it's going to be you special summon him, and get an Endymion out, or Servant and a Jackal King is also really nice to just get a monster negate. So really good. That's our little Endymion package right there. And then the perfect complement to them, and especially now with Selene, are mythical beasts. All of the mythical beasts are spellcaster type, which Selene just requires 2+ monsters, including a spellcaster monster, so they help kind of turbo her out. Master Cerberus, he's a little more expensive right now. I think he's like, you're paying like $6 a piece. You could put this down to 2 pretty easily and still be just fine. But you're going to destroy this card in your Pendulum Zone if there's no other card in your Pendulum Zone, and then you're going to add one level 7 or lower mythical beast. It's usually going to be Jackal King, and then Jackal King in the scale will destroy itself to then summon out your Master Cerberus to just get a free monster on board and a free spellcaster, basically. So really nice. We play 3 Jackal King, mostly because you're going to be able to special summon it off a Servant, and then it's just a good monster to have on field anyway. I like it at 3. And then the last mythical beast we play, sorry if you didn't see that, so that's mythical beast Jackal King, and this one was Master Cerberus. 3 of each of those. And then the last one is just the regular mythical beast Jackal. That's mostly because we're playing Mythical Institution, so that it makes this very easily accessible. And we're also playing Magical Abductor, which could also add this from your deck to your hand with its monster effect. Not its scale effect, its monster effect. So it's decent. It's got some decent effects. You can target one face-up card you control that you can place a spell counter on, destroy this card, and if you do, place a spell counter on that card. But then its monster effect is you'll place a spell counter on this each time a spell card is activated, and you can remove 3, tribute this card, and special summon one mythical beast from your deck. So it's your way of, again, easily accessing Jackal King, getting him out on board. It's really nice. And then kind of our like supporting engine that I think is super necessary now is 3 Chronograph and 1 Time Gazer. Again, we're trying to get to Selene if we can, and just adding another spellcaster on board because you have Chronograph Sorcerer in the scale, and you'll destroy this and then either special summon Time Gazer or set it to your scale. Most of the time you're going to be special summoning it to get that spellcaster. But then also it's monster effect. If it's in your hand, if a card is destroyed by battle or card effect, you can special summon this card from your hand and another monster from your hand. So again, it's another easy way of getting Endymion out, or like a Jackal King would be really nice. But yeah, definitely play these. And then showed it before. I'm playing 2 Magical Abductor. I really like it, but I don't like seeing 2 in my hand. That's just like the worst, honestly, because you would just rather, you're obviously really fine seeing 1, and then if you have 2, you just would rather this be any other card in the deck, to be completely honest. So I put it down to 2, but it's scale effect. It gains a counter each spell card that's activated, and then you remove 3, and you can add 1 Pendulum monster from your deck to your hand. So add whatever you want. You know, a lot of times it's going to be Servant if you don't have it, or Endymion, or whatever you need. And its monster effect, same kind of thing. It'll gain counters as spell cards are activated. It gains 100 attack for each spell counter, but then you can remove 3 and add 1 level 1 spellcaster monster from your deck to your hand. So that Jackal become very searchable. And then the last 2 monsters we play are 2 Spellbook Magician of Prophecy. He's going to be adding a Spellbook spell from your deck to your hand. Simply that. And that is it for the monsters. And then that Spellbook Magician is going to be either searching out your Spellbook of Secrets, which will simply just add a spellbook card from your deck to your hand. Play 2 of those, and then just 1 spellbook of knowledge. This is the kind of the one you want to end on. But this whole engine, the spellbook engine, is just absolutely amazing for just gaining counters, because that's mostly what you want to do with this deck, obviously. Activate spell cards to then gain counters on other cards. And this is, spellbook of knowledge is really good draw power. It's absolutely amazing. And I like that ratio. I've seen some people do 1-1-1, but I had a little bit of space in here, so I thought 2, and then just 1 knowledge was just perfect. And then we also play 3 Spell Power Mastery. You're going to be adding 1 Endymion card from your deck to your hand. And then you can count the number of Spell Power Mastery or Spell Power Grasp, which is going to be Mastery, we don't play Grasp, that you control are in your graveyard, and place that many spell counters among cards you control that you can place a spell counter on. So if you already have a card like Magical Abductor and Scale or something and you activate this, you'll gain the counter from activating the spell, plus get another counter for having Mastery on the field. So we'll get two counters. So really nice card. Easy way of getting into getting your big Endymion to your hand, or Servant is mostly what you're going to be doing. And then we play 3 Mythical Institution. It's a really, really nice card. Whenever a face-up Mythical Beast Pendulum card is destroyed, so they usually destroy themselves, you can place 2 counters on this card, and then you can remove any number of spell counters from your field and add 1 monster to your hand from your deck whose level is equal to the number removed. So when you get Selene out, you're going to have a lot of counters, and then this becomes almost, like add any card basically that you can place a spell counter on is basically what this becomes. So it's really, really good. And then if this card would be destroyed, so if your opponent's trying to get rid of it, you can remove a spell counter from this card instead. So it kind of self-protects itself. Another way of holding some spell counters is Magical Citadel of Endymion. And again, for getting counters, field spells are very good as well, because you're obviously playing Terraforming to search it out. So we play Magical Citadel. So you're gaining a counter from activating Terraforming, and then you're going to gain a counter from activating your field spell card. So they're just really good for that. But this one is another way of holding spell counters. Each time a spell card is activated, you place a spell counter on this. If a card with a spell counter is destroyed, you place those spell counters on this card, so it can really hold a lot. And then if you would activate a card by removing its spell counters, you can remove them from this card instead. And then it again also protects itself. If it would be destroyed, you can just remove a spell card from spell counter from it. And then also we play an Instant Fusion. It's down to 1, but it is a nice card. There's only 1 card we use it for, and that's Thousand Eyes Restrict. Pendulums really don't go second as well as other decks, because you don't really want to play too many hand traps. Obviously you can, but you don't want to play too many, because then you really have no plays if you have too many hand traps. So I thought just a really nice card for going second. And then also it's a spellcaster, so again it's a nice turbo card to go into our Selene. So a really nice card. And then for some draw power and just again getting counters on stuff, play 3 Pot of Desires and then the 1 Upstart Goblin. I think they're definitely necessary. You don't have to play it at 3 if you're scared to play Pot of Desires at 3. You can definitely knock it down to 2, but 3 is very good. That is it for the main deck. And the extra deck, we're playing 2 Selene. You can definitely play 3 if you got them. I think 2 is just fine. Mostly because it's a link 3, so it's not like Electromite where it's link 2 and you can go into it very, very easily. This you can go into obviously very easily because everything's spellcaster in this deck, and it just requires 2 plus monsters, and just one of them has to be a spellcaster. But if this card is link summoned, You place spell counters on this card equal to the number of spells on the field and in the graveyards. And then when an Endymion card on the field is on the field, your opponent cannot target this card for attacks. So that's kind of that little lock I was saying. If you have Selene on the field and then your Endymion, this is not going to be destroyed by card effects or targeted by card effects. This can't be destroyed by battle. So basically, they're at the point there where they have to basically try to get rid of this by battle, which they're really not going to be. So it's a cool little lock, you know, that a lot of decks just can't get by. So yeah, Selene is really nice. And then the main reason you're playing it is because once per turn during the main phase, you can remove 3 spell counters from your field. So anywhere on the field, we got a lot of cards that hold spell counters. And then special summon 1 spellcaster monster from your hand or graveyard in defense position to a zone this card points to. So really nice. It's going to be able to get a lot of really good monsters on board for you to just put up negates. And also, it's not a hard once per turn. So if you make her, and then if you make another one, then you can use that effect again to special summon one from the grave. So really, really nice card. And then the next best card to her is definitely Crowley. Crowley just requires 2 spellcaster monsters, and this is your way of easily getting to the best draw engine in the game, your spell books. Because when this is link summoned, you can reveal 3 spellbook cards with different names. So that's obviously, you reveal 1 knowledge, 1 secrets, and 1 prophecy. That's also why I have raised those up a little bit, just in case you happen to have, either a secrets or a spellbook in hand already. You can still, if you want to, go into Crowley and just gain some more advantage. Really nice card. And then still playing 1 Daybreaker. It requires, again, 2 spellcaster monsters. If it's link summoned, you place a spell counter on this card. Gains 300 attack for each spell counter on it. And then you can activate one of these effects. You can either, if a spellcaster monster is special summoned to a zone this card points to, you place 1 spell counter on this card. Or you can remove 2 spell counters from this deck. From this card and target 1 card in the field and destroy it. And actually you can use both of those effects. So you special summon 1 to its zone, gains a counter when it's link summoned, so then you can just remove 2, destroy a card in the field. Just a problematic card. And then we play 1 Draco, Masters of the Tenyi. This is your, mostly why you're going into him, is to get Odd Eyes Absolute off the field easily and just kind of go up into him. But now, honestly, he's kind of there because usually you're trying to go into Selene off of like Odd Eyes Absolute, but it's all dependent on your board. But he cannot be destroyed by battle with an effect monster. So again, kind of cool. You got a lot of cards that just can't be destroyed by battle or card effects and all that. It's really nice to have. And then just some generic kind of removal stuff. Nightmare Phoenix. Definitely a nice card to have. Nightmare Cerberus. That's going to be destroying spell and trap. Cerberus is destroying monsters. And then Unicorn is going to be targeting 1 card on the field and returning it to the deck. Really nice. Play 1 Saryuja. This is a definite must. You're not going to be going into it every turn just because we have Selene now, but it's really nice to go into that. Be able to special summon from your hand, draw 4 cards, place 3. It's just all around really, really good. And then also play Borload. Again, just another card that just neither player can target this card with monster effects. So it's just another one that's just locking your opponent out of doing something to a card you control. Really nice. And then a lot of cards have trouble getting past this anyway. And then for some of our XZs, just playing 1 rank 4. You don't go into it too often. You'll have your Magical Abductor. I think that's it, actually. I took out, because I had some mythical beasts in here. So basically that's the only way you're going to be going into it is with your abductor. But it's possible, so Dugaris is really nice. Because of Selene, special summoning back a spellcaster, sometimes your abductor will be over there. But Dugaris is, I just thought just a nice generic rank 4 would be nice. And then Narito, it just requires 2 level 6 spellcasters, and we have a few of those with Jackal King and Chronograph to go into her. And that's just a negate any spell and trap, basically. A really nice card. And then our best rank 7 is going to be Onai's Absolute, because you make this, and then you link him away, and then you'll be special summoning Onai's Vortex, which is absolutely amazing. When a spell, trap, or monster effect is activated, you just shuffle one face-up Pendulum from your extra deck into the deck, negate it, and destroy. So absolutely amazing. And also, if you're going second, and when this card is special summoned, you can target one face-up attack position monster your opponent controls and return it to the hand. So again, that's going to be really nice against some of these problematic, link monsters. And then you already saw the instant fusion target, Thousand Eyes Restrict. When you summon this out, you can target one monster your opponent controls and equip it to this card. So it doesn't destroy or anything. So good card to have. And it's another spellcaster again for going into Selene. So that is the deck, guys. Like I said, it's not crazy cheap like some of the decks that I do. Mostly because of this, honestly, the Mythical Beast. So you can lower those down if you want to. They're honestly really good going first, but going second, it's hit or miss. They're kind of just turbo cards. Really nice, though. But yeah, that's the deck. I got one more coming up for my top 10 budget decks that that video I posted. And then after that, we will be doing another small little series. So we will catch you guys on the next one.